Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into the Palm Bay City Council meeting from April 3rd, 2025.
That's right. We've got the meeting minutes, some local news reports. Quite a mix of stuff came out of this one.
Yeah, definitely. Seems like they covered a lot. Funding, land use, this ICE agreement, and believe it or not, a whole debate about chickens that kind of fizzled out.
Right. So our mission basically is to sift through all that and, pull out the key decisions, the stuff that really matters for Palm Bay residents.
Exactly. Let's make sense of what the council actually did.
This meeting, it's a good snapshot, really, of local government in action. You see those neighborhood level concerns right up against bigger policy questions.
Okay, so let's kick off with the chickens, or, well, the non-debate about the chickens. New business item, #4 Councilman Langevin wanted to allow more backyard chickens. But it got pulled.
Yeah, almost immediately. Deputy Mayor Jaffa made the motion to remove it, and Mayor Medina seconded.
Why? What was the reasoning?
Well, the argument was basically that they'd gone over this topic quite a bit before. They felt it would just lead to a long discussion on something they weren't really planning to vote on right then. Kind of a procedural efficiency move.
Huh. But Councilman Langevin wasn't happy.
No, not at all. He pushed back, saying, hey, this came from residents. People asked for this. He felt it deserved discussion, deserved public comment. Councilman Hammer backed him up on that.
So a bit of disagreement there. How did the vote go?
It ended up 3-2 to remove it. Jaffa, Medina, and Johnson voted yes, remove it. Langevin and Hammer voted no, keep it for discussion.
Interesting. So the item was officially off the table, but did the topic just disappear?
Not entirely. That's the interesting part. Later during the general public comments section, some residents actually brought up the chicken issue again. And Councilman Langevin mentioned his frustration about it being removed during his council report time.
Ah, okay. So it still kind of lingered. It really highlights that tension, doesn't it? Trying to run an efficient meeting versus making sure constituent issues get heard.
Exactly. It's a constant balancing act in local government.
All right, let's move to something that did get a vote. The Foundation Park Recycling Facility. That was approved.
Yes, it was. Approved 3-1 for a conditional use permit. Councilman Hammer recused himself. Didn't vote on this one.
Okay, and this is for what kind of facility exactly?
It's a tree and landscape recycling facility. So think yard waste, tree trimmings, that sort of thing. It's going into an area that was recently rezoned for light industrial use.
I imagine that sparked some debate. Recycling facilities can be controversial.
Oh, definitely. There was significant public comment. People raised concerns about, well, the usual suspects: potential dust, air quality, water quality impacts, noise from equipment, more traffic, and of course worries about property values nearby.
Understandable concerns. What did the applicants say to counter that?
They talked about their safety protocols, planned environmental testing, and their commitment to follow all the regulations. But the key thing here was the conditions the council attached to the approval.
The conditions. What were they?
Pretty specific. Absolutely no burning allowed on site. They can't accept treated wood or construction debris, strictly landscape stuff. They have to do street sweeping near the entrance. And importantly, they have to maintain conservation easements, basically buffer zones around the property.
So the council tried to address the concerns through rules.
Right. It's that balancing act, again, allowing a business, potentially economic development, but putting strict guardrails on it to try and mitigate the impact on neighbors and the environment. A real aha moment for how conditions work in practice.
Makes sense. Okay, now for a big one, the unanimous approval of the ICE 287G agreement. 5-0 vote on this. What does this mean for Palm Bay Police?
So this is a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. It allows specific, trained Palm Bay police officers to perform certain limited immigration enforcement functions.
Limited functions. What does that actually involve?
Police Chief Agello was very clear on this point during the meeting. He stressed this program is not for officers to go out looking for undocumented individuals or to initiate stops based on suspected status.
Okay, so when does it apply?
It only comes into play during a lawful encounter. So imagine a traffic stop for speeding or responding to another call. If, during that normal police work, the officer discovers the person has an active ICE detainer or administrative warrant, then the 287G process can kick in.
And what is that process?
If the officer who made the stop is one of the specially trained, certified officers, they get 40 hours of online training. They can verify the warrant. If it's valid, they can transport the individual to the Brevard County Jail. That jail acts as the processing facility.
What if the initial officer isn't 287G certified?
Then they'd call for a certified officer to come handle the immigration aspect. The person can then be held at the county jail for up to 48 hours, basically giving ICE time to take custody.
Got it. The chief and the council emphasize limitations, right?
Yes, very strongly. They repeated, this isn't for conducting immigration raids, not for workplace enforcement, not for targeting people just because they might look undocumented. It's strictly tied to finding an existing valid ICE warrant during an otherwise lawful police interaction.
Were there strong opinions voiced at the meeting?
Councilman Langevin spoke strongly in favor, connecting it to issues like border security, crime reduction, and combating human trafficking. There were also some public commenters who supported it, linking it to broader national political discussions.
So a potentially controversial program, but the council presented it with specific limitations.
Exactly. It brings federal immigration enforcement into the local police department's toolkit, but supposedly within very defined circumstances. It raises questions, of course, about community trust, resource allocation, and the role of local police in federal matters. Different people will see that very differently.
Definitely multiple perspectives there. Okay, so wrapping up this meeting, we saw a local chicken debate get shelved for efficiency. Significant land use decision approved, but with clear environmental strings attached.
Right, the recycling facility.
And a unanimous vote to partner with ICE for limited immigration enforcement during other police duties.
That sums it up well. 3 distinct decisions, each showing a different facet of local governance.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, how these decisions made in a city council meeting room reflect bigger debates, bigger priorities, not just in Palm Bay, but kind of everywhere.
Absolutely. It begs the question for anyone listening. How do these local actions connect to your own life? What does this tell you about how your own community is governed and what issues are bubbling up? Something to chew on.
Food for thought indeed. Thanks for breaking it all down.
My pleasure. Until next time.
See you then.